Good day, viewers. You're welcome to Living the Dream once again, and I remain your host, Chytwo. Over the past couple of episodes, we've been talking around various things, and the last time we were talking about goals. We talked about intrinsic and extrinsic goals. So today, we would move a step further, talking around strategies that help us to set very good goals. Strategies that help us to set very good goals. I'm sure a lot of us are familiar with various acronyms, various methodologies for setting our goals, and we all already know this division of the long-term goal, the medium-term goal, and the short-term goal. But be that as it may, for us as individuals, we need to understand what works best for us and our ability to tap into that resource we have for ourselves, our ability to tap into our own ability, to understand our own person, and use that to set goals that would be of very good help for us, that would make our life more purposeful, that will make more meaning for us and those who live around us and those who are our loved ones, and our community would be able to benefit from our own development. Now, remember the last time I said one of the best things you could do for yourself, or one of the gifts you could give to other people, is a gift of your own self-development, which is a statement by Jim Rohn. So today we'll be talking about strategies of developing our own goal, be it the short term, the medium term, and the long term goal. Whichever one, we'll be talking about the very famous acronym of SMART goals. I believe quite a number of us must have heard about it, and if you've not heard about it, then good for you. So sit in and let us go through it together. So when we talk about SMART goals, SMART goal is an acronym that encompasses a lot of things to help us simplify and break down how to achieve our goal. So let's for the purpose of example, during this program, we'll be taking someone who wants to become an accountant. Probably the person just finished their secondary school, or the person is just a fresh graduate and he or she is hoping to attain the peak of their own career within that sector, within the accounting sector. And the person is trying to use this SMART goal acronym to get the best out of themselves, to ensure that they're able to plan and walk through their own life purpose to get the best out of everything that they do. So SMART, the S stands for specific, meaning the goal should be as specific as possible. You should be able to pinpoint what that goal is taking you to. It shouldn't be vague. It shouldn't just be having loose ends here and there. It should be specific. It should be something tangible that at the end of the day you could pick it up and say, or you could say, oh, this is the final result of the goal. So for our own example, like we said, we want to be using someone in the accounting sector. So the person has this long-term goal of getting to the peak of the career of accounting. So what that means is, if the person is just a fresh graduate from the university, so the person have a BSc in accounting, meaning, oh, the person is at the initial phase of it, meaning the person have the bedrock of understanding of what accounting is, understand the rudiments of accounting, understand how to make credit and loss, and all those accounting terminologies put together. But at that point, the person is just like every other accounting student out there. The person is just like every other person who have a BSc in accounting, and they are equals at that level. So to take it a notch higher, the person would check and ask some questions. What is the peak of the career when we talk about accounting in my own locality, in my own federation, in my own nation, in my own community? You know, looking at it, you could say, oh, you want to be the accountant general of the nation, right? That's one of the peak. And you could aspire for that. You could aim at getting that. And to get to that level, you may then to understand. To get to that level, you get to understand that there are other professional courses, there are other things you need to get done, there are other certifications you need to do to equip you better, to give you more knowledge, to give you a very good know-how on how to be able to manage various aspects of accounting, be it tax accounting, be it tax accounting, audit accounting, and things like that. You'll be able to understand better all of these things, understand better using these various professional certifications that probably expands and narrow down into particular subject area for things to get done, and you'll be able to build your own skills in those certain areas to widen your scope. Also, you could take courses like ICANN, which is a body that certifies chartered accountant here in Nigeria, and you understand the fact that, oh, to become an ICANN a fellow, you probably need to go through various number of exams to get to that peak of it. So understanding those rudiments as well would also help you in knowing, oh, this is how specific my goal is. So for the first 2 years, the person may have a simple goal of saying, I want to become a chartered accountant. That way, the goal is quite specific. You understand, okay, this is what I'm trying to get to. At the end of the 2 years, you understand that I want to become a chartered accountant. Please, I'm just using this as an example. I'm not saying within 2 years or less than or more than is what you need to be a chartered accountant. But for various individuals with various resources would understand their own case scenario best and understand how they could get to this peak by their own resources available to them. Resources could include money, your own learning ability, and things like that. So for this individual we're talking about as our own example, let's say the person has already BSc in accounting, is now looking at, okay, within the next 2 years, I want to become a chartered accountant. Understand the factor that, okay, within the next 2 years, just finishing BSc, person is going for service as a Nigerian and trying to use that time frame where they work and serve the government of the nation, where they serve their fatherland. They also want to use that to expand their own horizon, learn more, and ingrain themselves in their concept of accounting. So at that point, they understand where they fit into the chartered accounting criteria, into the hierarchies, and know what exam is next for them to take, how long they need to prepare for that exam. And so they can easily start counting. Let's say the person finished school, let's say June or September, or let's say September. The person would understand that 2 Septembers from now, they would need to look back and say, oh, I have been able to achieve my goal of being a chartered accountant after my BSc, because they would be able to scale up and scale down what needs to be done at what point, and they could even achieve the goal way faster before the time of 2 years span, or life may happen in between and they may achieve it after that. But what that means is they were specific enough to know that in the next 2 years I need to be a chartered accountant. Then the M in SMART stands for measurable. Measurable. Any goal you cannot measure or anything you cannot measure, it will be very, very difficult for you to manage. If you cannot measure it, you cannot manage it. Anything you cannot measure, it's quite difficult for you to manage it. You know, when you give a child biscuit, sometimes you find children being very, very funny and they tear the wrap open and count the number of biscuits therein because they want to gauge how fast they should eat their biscuit, because they want to manage the enjoyment they derive from it. And the same thing happens with our adult life as well. When we have money and when we have other resources around us, we tend to manage it based on the quantity we have within ourselves. The same thing happens to our goals. The same thing happens to the things we desire to have. We should be able to measure them so that we could manage them better. So back to our example of attaining chartered accounting in 2 years from now after having a BSc. So what that means is you need to understand the curriculum of what I can have stipulated to know, okay, this is the amount of time required of me to go from this stage to the next stage, to the next stage, to the next stage. That way you'll be able to measure the time, the minimal amount of time you need to be able to write an exam. You'll be able to measure the minimal amount of time you need to be able to put resources together to even do the exam, because you have to pay for the exam. You'll be able to measure other aspects of the things that need to be in place for you to be able to get to that goal you want at that point in time. Then A from SMART stands for achievable. For something to be achievable, then you need to understand, or you need to ask yourself, have someone done it before? If yes, then it's achievable already. Or have someone tried it before? Meaning if somebody have done something about it before, then there will be some level of progress the person must have made. You could learn from the person's shortfall, you could learn from the person's failure and use that to improve your own better. But in our own case scenario where we're using being a chartered accountant as an example, a lot of people have done it before. So it is very, very achievable. So whatever your dreams are, whatever your goals are, whatever your aspirations are, you need to question, is it achievable? Even though you might have not find anyone to have done that thing in its specificity, but you might find someone who have done something close, something similar. If someone have done something similar to it, I bet you then it might be achievable for you, because you'll be able to learn from the historical experiences of that person and use that into your own set and get goal while you try to get your goals done. R stands for relevant. What will be the relevance of this goal you're trying to achieve to you as an individual for the first thing? How is it going to change your own state? What is it going to add to you as an individual? What is it going to help you become? What growth or what measure of growth is that thing going to add to you as an individual? Like the example we're using, for you to move from being a BSc accounting to being a chartered accountant, it shows that you've known or you've mastered this course to a point of being recognized nationwide as being one of the best person to be able to get this thing done. Being relevant to you could also mean, what does that goal mean to you? What relevance, what meaning does that goal have to you? So being a chartered accountant, it's also good in the sense that it's going to increase your job opportunity ratio. It's also going to improve your own knowledge base. It means when talking about accounting, you have a vast knowledge of it. So the relevance of this goal for you could be on a personal base, could be on a personal improvement, could also be on a communal scale. The relevance of your goal could be that it would impact the people around you. Another example could be someone setting up an NGO to help orphans, an NGO to help internally displaced people. The relevance of that goal means of what importance is that goal to yourself as an individual, to the immediate members of your community, to your society on a larger scale, and to the humans living in the world generally. So if this goal has an impact on you as an individual, then it's relevant. If this goal changed the life of people around you for the better as well, it is super relevant. If this goal could change how the world interacts, if this goal could change things positively in the world, then it is very, very relevant, and it is very, very important for you to carry on and get that done. But if it doesn't check that box of relevance, then you might want to question yourself on why should you go down that road of even trying to achieve that goal in the first place. Then the T in SMART stands for time bound. Time bound. Whatever goal you're trying to pursue, put a time lag to it. Whatever goal you're trying to pursue, put a time frame to it, to know that within this time to this time, I should be able to have get this done from point A to point B. Because we are all humans and we are all time based, in the sense that we get to be born someday and we get to die someday. Within those 2 days is just time difference. And for everything we're able to achieve within those time difference, those are the things that would really, really matter to us on the long run. Those are the things that would matter to the people that benefit from us and the world in general. So understanding that the goals we want to pursue should be time-based, should have high relevance within that time frame is very, very important. At this time and age, if someone decides to probably still try to communicate using Morse code, when the person is not a secret agent, then you wonder of what relevance is that in this time of now. But you need to understand the fact that we are all social beings and we have specific time frames for our existence. So we need to understand that our own time here is limited and the things we need to achieve could be unlimited. So we need to factor that into our own time frame, ensure we're able to get things done as soon as possible, and we could easily from there move on to the next stage, move on to the next stage, move on to the next stage. Because if we try to just use the whole of our time to get one thing done and the relevance of that thing would not have this certain level of longevity, then we might probably have ourselves to blame for that on the long run. So having a time frame, going back to our example, we said trying to become a chartered accountant within 2 years, that's the time bound there. Within 2 years, you need to get all of this done so that you could forge ahead and move to the next stage of your own big vision, and move to the next stage of your own long-term vision, and move to the next stage of the things you can become, in which you would not know until you try. And so this is the concept of the SMART goal. And like I mentioned earlier, the S stands for specific, M for measurable, A for achievable, R for relevance, and T for time bound. With this little concept here, it's one of the strategies you could use to analyze the goal you're trying to achieve, to see if it is specific enough and not vague. It would be vague to say, oh, I want to be one of the richest people in Nigeria. That's quite vague. When you say rich is probably on a scale. When you say rich, are you talking about the top 1%, the top 10%, and things like that? That's being specific. So ensure that your goal is as specific as possible, that it's something you could easily pinpoint and you could easily measure. Then M is for measurable. Ensure that your goal is measurable. You could say, oh, this is the point where I get to the end of my goal, meaning you'll be able to measure it. And what you cannot measure, you would find it very difficult to manage. A is achievable. Are you sure this goal you want to do is achievable? Has someone done it before? Yes. If yes, good for you. Then it shows that you also can do it. Have someone done it before? No. But have people tried it before? Yes. Then you could easily learn on what they failed at and see how you could get it done on your own. Then R is for relevant. How important is the thing you're going to do? How important is it to you? Of what importance, of what life-changing experience will it affect to the people in your own community? Of what life-changing experience is it going to be for you? How is it going to impact the life of people around you? How is it going to impact the life in your community? Then T is for time-bound. What is the time frame you're setting for yourself to achieve this goal so that you could move on to other greater things in your own life? I hope this has been very informative for you, and I hope to find you in the next episode coming your way. Stay blessed. I remain your host, Chytwo, and thank you very much.
Ramadan Mubarak.